I-25F just watched my partner 25M yell at his mom over an Amazon package delivery. For context, we've been together for 4 years, currently staying with his mom to save for a house, but I just witnessed what I think to be a glaring red flag. An Amazon guy came to the door with a package that required a one-time code, so she came down, said the Amazon guy is here, I've been calling and texting, and he just exploded on her, slammed the door and said, do you see how she talks to me? She's impossible. I tread very lightly on their conflicts because I have had disagreements with my mom, but we always resolved them and ultimately apologized. I wouldn't want to insert my own experience into his relationship with his own mom, but it was almost scary the way he spoke to her over what I thought was nothing. I said to him I didn't think she said anything bad, and he goes, it's just her tone. Which, even if she had a tone, she's his mom, she deserves respect in her home she's nice enough to let us live in. We do pay her rent. I've always heard that how a man treats his mother is a reflection of how he's learned to treat women, but what do you think? Immediately after, I went up to apologize to his mom, who was furious but also in tears, and still got the package for him. I mean, this would have been a massive red flag if he yelled at the Amazon guy like this. Explosive anger is never okay. But that he unleashed this anger on his mom? And was so comfortable in this behavior that he both did it in front of you and then defended his actions? And his defense was, she made me do it with the tone of her voice. Girl, it's true. You are looking into your future. As much as people can hate their parents, you look to them to see how they'll look when they are older and a good idea of how they'll act, too. That's not necessarily true as far as how they'll act. My dad beat the shit out of my sister and I vowed I'll never do that to my wife or kids. But I'm goofy and dependable, which is two things my dad was when he wasn't in a mood. But anyhow, if he disrespects the only woman in his life that'll love him unconditionally, phew. Good luck. 'Cause you'll be really disposable as compared to her. My mother said to watch how a man treats his mother, and know that is how you will be treated eventually. You are correct in recognizing this as a red flag. Location flag. Even if he never treats you that way, do you want to be with a man who treats any person that way? And she was doing him a favor, getting his package. Even if not, still not how we treat people. How a man treats his mom is an indication how he will treat you. He is immature and his behavior is definitely a red flag. Location flag. One day mother-in-law came over to visit and said, my son spent the weekend with me and he spoke to me in such a condescending, superior way, like I was stupid that I had enough and told him it's too much. I replied, you noticed that over the weekend? He talks to me like that every day. It's been almost a year since that incident, and a little after that her son officially became my ex. I, 27F, no longer want to have children with my husband, 29M. How do I begin this conversation? Throwaway account. We got married 3 years ago. A lot has happened during that time. The US has made some questionable choices on women's reproductive rights. I come from a family with multiple women on both sides that required emergency intervention services during pregnancy, some of which were abortions due to life-threatening complications on the woman's health. All of these women required admission into a hospital for several days and nearly died. I have a lot of generational health trauma as a consequence, not to mention my own experiences where I was assaulted by nurses as a child and also had a very questionable interaction with a male gynecologist when I was 16 that my friends in the medical field look at me in horror when I share. Lots of white coat anxiety. All this being said, I really don't think I trust the government nor our current healthcare system to safely bring me through a pregnancy. I have alluded to these concerns in the past with my husband. How I am fearful of how things are going to continue to go these next 4 years, and I've suggested the idea of leaving the country to start a family. He's totally against the idea. We live 20 minutes from his family and his family is very close. He views a move as an abandonment of his family and says he'd never do it regardless of how bad things get. I feel hurt in some ways, like he doesn't empathize with my fears. Nor does he think they are as real as I do. But I also understand that asking him to make a move to an entirely different country is a huge ask and perhaps even unreasonable of me. He wants to start a family in his early 30s, which could be 2 or 3 years from now. I wouldn't want to start for at least 4 years now, and honestly I'm starting to think I don't ever want to. Children are a beautiful life experience and I have always wanted to have them, but I am so fearful of not being able to give them the childhood I would want them to have. Or even surviving the pregnancy. Also, yes, I have been in therapy for 2 years over this. The only thing that therapy has helped me to so far is being in a room alone with a physician again, getting vaccinated by myself, and getting blood drawn by myself. We've barely scratched the surface of my pregnancy phobia and general fears of having children in this current political and economic landscape. You two may no longer be compatible. Children and desired country of residence are the definition of deal breakers. Before you bring this up to your husband, I would get really clear on whether your concern is situational, which would mean that you want to move before having children, or whether you simply do not want to have children at all. All of the problems you name are solvable. Do you actually want to solve them? If your husband said, "Okay, I will uproot my life, move to Sweden and find you the best Afghan on earth tomorrow," would you be excited? This is an important talk to have, but in reality you need to prepare yourself for this ending your relationship. At this point you two are not compatible with what you want, it seems. But the only thing you can tell him is that you don't want to have kids. It seems you don't want kids at all. And making him move is and isn't fair to him. If you move and you still don't want kids, he moved for nothing and you wasted his time, money. While he can still love you, it won't change the fact he wants kids, and that can lead to resentment. Your feelings are valid, his are too. You need to tell your husband. You also need to be at peace with the possibility of your relationship ending. If he wants kids and you don't, there is no relationship to be had. Let him go if that is what he wants. It sounds like you guys are likely incompatible now. He wants to stay near his family, have kids. You don't feel comfortable with either of those. Sometimes people grow apart. When you grow to need very different things, it's better for both people to end it before too much time is wasted on someone they're fundamentally incompatible with. Don't forget there are other paths to having a family that don't involve you getting pregnant. I don't know how open you guys are or would be to those options, but they're there. There's nothing you can do but tell him the truth. You're the one that has to do all the heavy lifting to bring a child into the world. Your participation should be enthusiastic, not reluctant. It's a huge deal, a big medical procedure, no matter how safe it is, or who is president. If this ends the marriage, then it ends the marriage. Heartbreak now is better than an entire life with a child you never wanted. My husband, 27M, said it's unattractive that I, 27F, would rather work than be a stay-at-home mom. I'm just going to get straight to the point. My husband and I recently separated in the sense of living together, but we are still together and have intentions to, at least I thought. We were having a conversation a few days ago and he asked if he gave me the option to quit my job and stay home, if I would. I said no. I just got back to work 3.5 months ago after being a stay-at-home mom to 2 kids under 2, and I am finally feeling like myself again. I love my kids more than anything on this planet and of course would love to stay home and raise them, if I was given the freedom to still go out and have a life. Based on the 10 months I was a stay-at-home mom, I was not given any time for myself because my husband was selfish and guilt-tripped me into always making the plan around the kids, making sure he didn't have to take care of them alone. I just got a promotion after only 3 months of being at my job and a big raise. I have always worked my ass off, and always been a hard worker, has had great work ethic. He says I'm built to raise kids and he's built to provide. Me not having any freedom or independence drove me insane for 10 months. I love my kids but I was never given a break. Men, husbands. My question to you. If your wife wanted to keep her career instead of being a stay-at-home wife, mom, how does that make you think of her? Women, wives. My question to you. Has your husband ever looked down on you if you had a career, and kept it even after kids are given the opportunity to stay home? He says I'm built to raise kids and he's built to provide. You have far more patience than me. This is the point at which I would have fired him directly into the sun. Do not surrender your financial independence to this misogynist dinosaur. Get rid and move on with your life. There's a difference between being a stay-at-home mom and being the sole parent. Your husband wants to not have to have any responsibility regarding the kids. That's not how parenting or marriage works. That is a huge red alert if I ever saw one. He says I'm built to raise kids and he's built to provide. Unless you like being oppressed, you need to take your kids and leave this guy who is still living in 50s. Why is it even a topic of discussion? Live your life. Clearly he wants control over you and take away your financial and emotional independence. Unattractive? To whom? He's not interested in your happiness or well-being. I know you're looking for Team Estrogen to comment, but as a man I think his behavior is crap. It seems his self-esteem and or sense of control is threatened by you having a job. Does he know you don't particularly find it attractive when he doesn't raise the multiple kids he was so excited to have? How do I, 20M, tell my 20F partner that her brain rot is making her less attractive? I think this type of humor can be funny once in a while, and I understand that it's a part of the culture of people our age. However, her vocabulary is full of just straight-up brain rot to the point where it doesn't feel like just a joke anymore. Everything is endearing during the honeymoon phase, so I used to frequently joke back to her. But now it's hard to find Sigma or Haktua attractive, you know. It has gotten to the point where I cannot have a single conversation with her, in person or over text, where this type of language is not involved. I know this sounds so idiotic, but it genuinely turns me off when I try to have a normal mature conversation but she responds with just brain rot. The thing is, she can be serious when needed, and occasionally we'll have a good conversation. These are the moments that I look forward to, where I don't feel like I'm talking to an immature high school boy stuck in the body of an attractive woman. It's beginning to affect our sex life, as I'm finding it hard to get turned on by her. She's beginning to notice my lack of enthusiasm, and feels insecure about it. I feel guilty for feeling this way, as she shows me nothing but love and support. I love her so much, but this is the one thing that I cannot get over. I just don't know how to approach this subject to her because I don't want to hurt her feelings or make her feel self-conscious around me. I always try to reassure her when she's insecure, so I feel terrible bringing this up to her for fear of making her more insecure. She's a genuinely sweet, funny person, but the brain rot has gotten to be just too much for an adult. Edit. Sorry for my overusage of brain rot. Lol. Make that 9 times. I am referring to common terms frequently used on TikTok, other social media platforms. Example. Me. XYZ happened. Her. You guy it to be rizzing me. I understand the humor and I also use it from time to time. But I think it's hard not to get tired of something after excessive usage. I will have a conversation with her about it soon, and I realize my fault in this for not communicating clearly to her. Guess I was just concerned about making her feel less than and damaging her self-esteem. Thank you all for the advice, I will do better. Edit 2. Fixed the redundancy of the post. Everybody take a shot when you see brain rot. Emo, if a partner's humor is a turn-off, the relationship is facing an uphill battle. Emo, it isn't worth asking her to filter herself over this. Shit like this can result in her changing her behaviors for future partners who might enjoy her skibbity riz. I'd probably break up, to avoid giving her insecurity over something somebody else likely finds endearing. For anyone who doesn't know the term, brain rot, after reading it nearly a dozen times lol. It's like walking around all day in the 90s saying what's up PPPP. Baba Booey. Schwing. Tears of joy. Say, brain rot, again. I dare you. I double dare you motherfucker. Say, brain rot, one more goddamn time. Instead of a swear jar, make a skibbity jar? Lol. Just tell her brain rot makes you cringe. Be clear it's the words themselves, not her. Looks disappear over time, but conversations will go on forever. It's important to at least be on the same level because that's where you guys are headed for the rest of your life.